And right now we are 2 minutes away from the end of the trading day. Romaine Bostick alongside Katie Greifeld taking you through to that closing bell with a global simulcast. We're joined now by Massar and Tim Stenovec, both in the radio booth, as we welcome our audiences across all of our platforms, including our partnership with YouTube, to parse the most crucial moments of the day. And Carol, nothing is more crucial right now than the news that just crossed the wire. The Charlie XCX is back in the studio.
Oh, I thought you were going to go to AppLovin, but no, that's not where you went, because I know that stock is under some pressure. We'll have to come back to that. I am, though, looking at the semiconductor space overall, thanks to AMD and the OpenAI deal.
Does Carol know who that is? Or no?
Yeah, I know. Yeah, we know Charlie.
Ouch.
Oh, okay.
That hurt.
She's in a feud with Taylor Swift. Come on.
I know she is, but, everybody is at one time or another.
Let's not forget the collaboration that came out about a year ago.
Wow.
Charlie XCX and Bon Iver.
Okay.
Okay.
Oh,
Thanks
little
for
flex
pronouncing it.
over
All right.
here.
He's a huge
Highly
fan.
recommend
Hey,
checking
Tim,
that one out.
Thanks for the mansplaining. Really
I
appreciate it.
didn't mansplain at all.
Felt like mansplaining to me.
Okay. Can you guys do this?
Semiconductor stocks up 3%. Thank you so much, AMD. I mean, that one's up 23% alone. Take it away, guys.
Oh, or we're taking it away?
You got to help. You got to help me out here.
Oh, I thought we were still talking about
scarred.
what's going on. Hey, look, I mean, in all seriousness, so we talk about a market at record highs, but more importantly, why it's at record highs. OpenAI makes another big announcement, this involving AMD. They hold a developers conference. They mention Figma, they mentioned HubSpot, they mentioned all these third-party app developers, and you see a big rally there. That is the trade, and at least for the last few days, and quite frankly, the last few weeks, it seems to be the only trade in town. A big part of the reason why you see the Dow Jones Industrial Average in the red here on the day, while you see the S&P 500 in the green at a record high, up about 25 points or 0.4%. The Dow down 64 points or about 0.1%. The Nasdaq Composite and Nasdaq 100 each up about 7 to 0.8% on the day. Record highs around the horn there. And look at the Russell 2000 holding its gains from last week up 10 points, 0.4%, a fresh record high.
I love when you say looky-loo. All right, let's get to the S&P 500. Folks, it's up 7 days in a row. As Romaine was pointing out, it's up about 2% in those 7 days. Katie, if I look at the trade, though, you had about half higher, half lower. So it's not like everybody was enjoying the move up to another record close on the S&P 500.
It was slightly better if you take a look at it through the lens, through sectors. You had 7 sectors in the green, just 4 in the red. What was leading the charge? Who other than information technology, up about 0.6% as a whole. Consumer discretionary also punching above its weight. So too did communication services.
Technology,
I don't know. I always feel like I'm saying its formal name, its government name. That's just what the terminal tells me.
Just call it IT.
IT. Yeah, there you go.
That feels so outdated. It's like communication services. What's
I couldn't tell you. But tech, information tech leading gains there. I will just point out healthcare having a bad day. It's been an interesting sector as of late, but right now interesting to the downside.
Healthcare. Now that's a name that's timeless. Right?
Oh yeah, I know exactly what that is.
We don't just call that HC. We have to call it healthcare. All right, let's go to some of the individual gainers. I mentioned semiconductor outperformance, the stocks outperforming. Thank you, AMD. We know the story. You guys have spent a lot of time talking about it. It's been really our big business story here on this Monday. AMD shares up as much as 37% at their highs today, finishing with a gain of just shy of 24%. I mean, holy moly, Batman, the AI rally and the chip grab, it is on in a big way. We've spent a lot of time just trying to figure out the spend, the companies that are working together. I mean, does it all play out? Will the revenues ultimately be there? And I feel like, I guess time will tell. But anyway, AMD, top gainer in the S&P and NDX. That deal with OpenAI for AI infrastructure could generate tens of billions of dollars in new revenue.
That brought back a lot of memories, like when I would get off school as a kid and you watch the old reruns of like the original
Holy moly,
Batman,
right?
Burt Ward and Adam West.
I know. It was iconic, right?
It was, absolutely.
Good stuff, good stuff.
Great memories.
Tim and Katie have no idea.
Yeah, they're like, who, what, where, and
I'm
when.
reminiscing.
All right, let's get to another big gainer in today's session. I don't know if you guys checked out critical metals today. Ticker CRML at its highs, up 109%, finishing with a gain of 45%. This after Reuters reported the Trump administration officials have discussed taking a stake in the metal mining company. If finalized, deal would give the U.S. government a direct investment in the largest rare earths project in Greenland, again, according to the Reuters report. So again, this is a theme we've seen about the U.S. government taking potentially ownership stakes in various companies that they deem important to U.S. security. And then Comerica, we had a big bank deal. Let's not forget that. Fifth Third Bancorp agreeing to buy Comerica for about $10.9 billion in stock. It would be the largest U.S. bank deal this year. We've seen several bank deals happening. And again, Comerica, Tim, up about 14% in today's session.
All right, well, let's talk about some notable decliners in the S&P 500 today. Among the worst performers on a percentage basis was Verizon, ticker VZ. Actually, shares closing the worst one-day drop, I should say, going back to April of this year. So some surprise news from the C-suite. Hans Vestberg out after 8 years as CEO since 2018. So 7 years as CEO. Former PayPal CEO Dan Schulman coming in as CEO, replacing Hans Vestberg. Vestberg will stick in the role of advisor to the company for the next year. He's going to help ensure a smooth transition, including the integration with Frontier Communications. That purchase went through of late. Verizon has been losing subscribers and market share. It did shed 51,000 monthly mobile customers in the second quarter. Schulman, actually, he's known for eBay and PayPal, but he also had experience at AT&T. Virgin Mobile, like more than 20 years ago. He was the founder of that company, and he was there for 10 years. And then he was at Nextel Sprint. So he's got some experience in the communications space. Once again, shares down 5.1%.
It's called street cred.
Street cred. I always thought of him as a Silicon Valley guy. That's kind of like when he got on my radar, and a payments guy. But so it's interesting that this is, and he's been on the board for years too. Fifth Third Bank finishing down 1.4%. Carol talked about the increase in Comerica's session today. Fifth Third, the acquirer, shedding 1.4% today. This after it announced a deal for about $10.9 billion in stock. It is the largest U.S. bank deal this year. We're going to be speaking with Herman Chan about this in just a few minutes. And then a late-breaking edition.
We already spoke with him.
You did. I saw him on your air.
It was really good.
Was it good?
Yeah.
Thanks
Cool.
for warming him up for us.
We did sort of like
appreciate
a whole hour on AMD, OpenAI, everything happening with sort of the NVIDIA and the AI trade today. Yeah, it was a lot.
Yeah, we almost did too.
You almost did. Not quite. This was a late edition. AppLovin shares falling 14%. They cratered right at 3:41 p.m. Wall Street time today. This was after Bloomberg News reported that the SEC has been probing AppLovin's data collection practices, specifically allegations that the company violated platform partners' service agreements to push more targeted advertising to consumers. AppLovin declined to comment on the probe, saying it regularly engages with regulators and would disclose any material developments through public channels. The SEC didn't comment due to a shutdown.
All right, just real quickly, let's take a look at yields. We're going to look at Treasury yields here in the U.S. You did see them move higher across the curve, with the longer end of the curve seeing the most action. But we should point out, this was actually a global phenomenon. Remember, we had a lot of developments over the weekend, including the extension of that government shutdown here in the U.S., a government in France that lasted, less than the lifespan of a mayfly. And then, of course, you have potentially a new prime minister in Japan that is expected to also put some downward pressure on bond prices over there here. So globally, you saw a little bit of a sell-off when it comes to sovereign debt.
All right. Well, with so much uncertainty about global governments, it's good to know that there's something we can really count on, and that has to do with Taylor Swift, right?
Good.
She can sell stuff.
She
in a
can
big
sell
way.
things.
She can, right? So we had her album, The Life of a Showgirl. It sold 2.7 million copies in the United States on its first day. So it's kind of amazing. It broke a record. But it's not just that. People actually went to theaters to see Taylor.
Yeah, listening party, the highest grossing picture.
Huh?
That's ridiculous. Who would do that?
A few of our producers, at least.
Did you guys do that?
No.
Okay.
No.
The official release party took in $34.1 million in ticket sales in the U.S. and Canada, another $16 million internationally. An AMC exclusive. It's a second Swift picture released by AMC. Adam Aron, the company's CEO, we've spoken to him in the past. I didn't realize this until I read this story by Thomas Buckley. He's close friends with Taylor Swift's parents.
Yes.
I didn't realize that.
Yeah. I remember reading the whole story about that back in the day.
Yeah.
Well, I did not make it out to the Taylor Swift extravaganza this weekend. I was too busy preparing for earnings. We're expecting earnings out of Constellation Brands, of course, a big maker of beer. Modelo, your favorite, Tim. Modelo Light, excuse me.
Okay.
But, there's been a bigger story here. This idea that we're not drinking as much, and now there's a lot of concern right now that some of the retaliatory actions by people overseas who are upset with our trade policies here aren't buying U.S. products, basically U.S. whiskey.
We actually have some numbers here. Export of U.S. liquors, including bourbon, fell 9% from a year earlier, with shipments to Canada plunging 85% to less than 10 million in the period. It is pretty amazing. I mean,
so what are they drinking up there in Canada?
Get maybe their own home brew, but it would speak to sort of that retaliatory feeling. I remember, when we were discussing the first round of Canada tariff talks, that was definitely a major theme there.
Yeah, it kind of makes sense, right? If, amid this tariff war and the pushback by the U.S., right, they're going to fight back with, just not buying our stuff.
Yeah. All right. Well, some of us will pick up the slack.
Not Tim. Not Tim.
I was told not to talk. I was told we're done. Unlike some other people, I actually listened to Finley, our producer.
That's good of you.